Hello, future glitch runners. I am Mimi. I have a lot of experience with glitch. I have world records in a lot of categories, a lot of meme categories for NMMS, and I have top time. I have top time in any percent NMMS as well. So I have a lot of experience, and there is currently almost no guides for NMMS, and the ones that exist are out of date. So I thought I would make one really quick. If you might be asking, why are you making a guide for NKG percent if there is no any percent guide? And the answer to that is I am working on an any percent guide at the moment, but I want to do it scripted, and the script is taking a lot of work and a lot of time. So I thought for now I would put together a short, unscripted NKG percent guide as a sort of a way to help people in the meantime. Also, NKG percent is almost the same as any percent for like 80% of it. So if you're learning early game of this category, you are pretty much learning early game of any percent. And the this category, the dupes at the end are a lot easier, so this might be a better category to get started with for you. Alright, so what patch should you play on and what settings? The recommended patch in general is 1.3 for running NMS for a lot of categories, for most categories. Well, 1028 sometimes, but for the categories that I like to run at least. And that has a couple of reasons why you would want to play this over on 1.5. And I'll try to get through most of them as I go. But just know that 1.3 is a nice place to start. There's a guide on speedrun.com if you don't know how to downpatch, which shows how to download older patches on Steam, as well as a couple other ways. So that's how you would get a copy of 1.3. And there is also there's a speedrun resources GitHub page, which is put together by the mods of the HoloNet community, and that has all the info you need on how to mod and where the mods are. I highly recommend getting debug mod and speedrun QOL for your practice, and you can get bench warp if you want. It can be useful, not super required. Oh yes, settings. So what settings I use? Here, let me put this in English so I can show. So for what settings you want to use, I recommend doing. It's very important. Well, you can use VSync, but keep in mind that if you go below around 120 FPS on earlier patches, including 1.3, you start getting a lot of input delay. So you want to keep your frame rate at a specific point. Around 120 is a good point to keep your frame rate at, because having lower FPS helps in glitched a lot, because there's a lot of tricks which are graphics frame perfect or graphics frame precise, where having lower graphics frame counts is going to be helpful there. So turning off VSync, capping, doing an external cap. I use NVIDIA to do an external frame rate cap, around 120. I wouldn't go below 120. And the other things is you want to set your game in Chinese, of course, just like any other category. It's the fastest language. Okay, now I'm going to get into game here, and I'm going to show off the settings I have for debug, which I recommend having keybinds for. The first, and arguably one of the most important, is, well, of course you want to have your save states. But this one right here, hazard respawn, there are several cases where you can accidentally make menus, you'll soft lock or hard lock and make menus inaccessible. So there's basically nothing you can do. You can't pause, you have to force close. Unless you have a hazard respawn bind. If I get into a situation where I'm hard locked, I can't do anything, I can hit this hazard respawn button and it will hazard respawn me and I'm able to use menus again. So having a bind of this is really important. And also, having a zoom out button can be kind of nice, and getting a, Getting a hitboxes show is also very, very good. So having these binds can be really nice. And let's see what else is here. Having a no-clip bind is really handy as well. It can be very useful for if you are in a dupe and you mess up the dupe and you want to save yourself, you want to fly back, no-clip is very good there. Also having hitboxes there is very helpful to see where the load you missed is. And other than that, I think it's just... Oh, where was... I think I missed force camera follow. You want to have, of course, the force camera follow bind if you can. It's just very helpful, well, to actually see what's going on in dupes, because sometimes the game will steal your camera away. So to be able to see what you're doing is very, very helpful. The other thing that I recommend binding some of, at least, you might not need binds for all of these, but I like having them. It's convenient when I need them. These different settings can they're going to like give you glitches or give you certain states that you get, and they're just handy to have whenever you need them. Otherwise, like I said, it's here. Wait, where is it? Oh yeah, having a force or clear white screen can be nice too, just in case you accidentally white screen. And force camera follow is highly recommended. The other thing is there's an option in debug mod here, which is toggle save state fixes. So let's say, for example, let me turn this off. I think I have it on. Let's say, for example, if I open the log here, at the bottom right here, if I hit Y, you can see I gave myself bench storage. Now let me set a quick save state. And because I turned that setting off, let's see, if I hit this again, it gave me bench storage again. So what that means is I basically lost bench storage. The game took bench storage away from me then. But if I turn on this option in debug mod, it will work where now if I load a save state here, if I hit this again, it takes away bench storage because I had bench storage there. So it saves a couple glitches. It can be nice. It also can have issues with keeping white screen. So if that's an issue, you can turn it back off. But yeah, it's a good option to have. Okay. Another thing that I highly recommend getting is some sort of way to a way to spoof, I guess, trick the game into having analog inputs. And this just is useful in a couple situations, and you're gonna need it for some tricks if you want to do them. It's just you just lose time if you don't have it. But thankfully, there is a program which was made by the Hollow Knight community, members of the Hollow Knight community, called Overbind. And Overbind lets you set up controller binds for keyboard keys. Obviously, if you have a controller, you don't need this, but it can be really nice. I recommend binding analog stick left, analog stick right, and a way of doing right analog stick up, because that what it lets you do is it lets you look up instantly, whereas if I normally hold up, it takes a second. Oh, another thing. If you are playing on a patch before 1.4 for this, like I said, it's possible to play on later patches if you want, but 1.3 is recommended. If you're playing on either the two recommended patches are usually 1424 or 1315. 1315 is slightly easier. It gives you a couple slight changes which can help, which is why I recommend playing on it. But if you were to play on 1432 or later, if you're going to play on any patch before 1432, keep in mind that any settings you change while in-game will unsave when you exit. So if I turn VSync on here, then if I exit the game and I go into my video settings, you'll see that VSync is now turned back off. Any settings you make while in-game will not save, but settings you make while here will save. So keep in mind that if you need to change settings, change them in the main menu, don't change them in-game. If you're playing before 1432. That was fixed in 1432. Okay. Now, I believe I can start the run. My goal with this guide is going to be to... I accidentally bench storage, I think. My goal with this guide is going to be showing off showing off the different glitches, showing off how to do them, showing off the inputs for them, and trying to make sure that I can throw it all together in a comprehensive guide. I want to try to explain the glitches as well, not just explain which ones to do. So it's gonna be there's gonna be a lot involved. But this is just normal KP. Just proceed through KP. Don't miss the jump there. You want to stop for this Geo Rock, and you want to get at least 8 Geo there. Getting more can be handy, but all you need is 8. So just continue through KP and continue through Dirt Mound. In general, oh yes, and if you're playing, there's a first patch difference. If you're playing on anything before 1.5, you can do that inventory hardfall cancel, which you cannot do on 1.5. So that's a small time save there, unless you get a really hard trick on 1.5, which technically is faster, but it's very hard to get consistently. Okay, so the reason we're getting this geo is because we need to buy a map, and map enables us to do a lot of glitches, so we want to grab some geo here and get up to 30. That 30 geo is the only geo you're going to spend in the entire run. So go for the inventory drop here. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And hope that Gruzzers are nice, which they never are. So buy the map here, and immediately quit out after you get it. You can use mouse menuing to be slightly faster. So now we're going to use the first big glitch of the run, which is quick map storage. Quick map storage, also called QMS. For the rest of the guide, I'm going to call it QMS. Quick map storage is basically what it lets you do is whenever you are about to do something, such as talking to an NPC, or picking up an item, or anything like that, looking at signs, things like that. This will, if you do a QMS, you do quick map storage, you will get control back while that's happening. So for this case, we're going to use this to get what's called text storage from Elderbug. So how you do this glitch is you press map, interact map. Oh, I don't have my map bound. Oops, okay. Map, interact map. And as you can see, I have control while I have this text on screen. We're going to be using this for an important glitch right here. But that trick also works for a couple other things. You can also use that when you are opening inventory to basically have inventory open while you move around. And doing this with text or inventory is especially useful because when you close inventory or you close text, it gives you control back. So if we're doing something later that takes away control, we can close that text or close that inventory at any point to get control back immediately. Important note from in-post Mimi here, which I mentioned later but should be brought up now. You only get one quick map storage per quit out. So if you miss it by pressing it too early, you don't get to try again unless you reset it. So here's a second reason to be playing on 1.3. Also 1.4 does this. 1.5 you cannot do this. When you sit on a bench on 1.3, I can immediately inventory with text up. If I was playing on 1.5, I would have to sit on the bench, get off the bench, and then re-get on the bench before it would let me inventory there. So, why do I need inventory here? Well, we're going to be getting into the next big glitch of the run, which is the most important glitch of the run, bench storage. So what bench storage does is it sort of tricks the game into thinking that we are in a benched state when we actually aren't. And what this, it allows you to do a bunch of different things, but the main thing is that it allows you to open inventory basically anywhere, including while you're loading into a room, which has some good side effects. So how do you get bench storage is you do anything that will get you off of a bench other than stepping off the bench. So in this case, I'm going to be using Elderbug's text to when I close the Elderbug's text, it's going to give me control back and push me off the bench. So I now am in a bench state by the game standards, but I'm able to move, and I'm not actually on the bench. Now be careful here. If you do not open your inventory, the point of opening inventory here is that it allows me to press buttons and press anything that would get off a bench while I'm still moving around. If you don't have inventory up, you cannot press anything that would get you off a bench, which is arrow keys or nail or jump or focus, I believe, are the only ones that do. To clarify, the reason that you can't is because you would lose bench storage, not that you physically can't. So that can be an issue. Make sure you really don't want to lose your bench storage because, I forgot to mention, with quick map storage, the only way, or when you use quick map storage, while you're playing on patches 1.3 or later, quick map storage can only be done once per quit out, which is very important to note. So if I mess up with bench storage, lose my bench storage here, I can't go back and use my quick map storage to get control of Elderbug again. I have to fully quit out and then come back and then do it, which is not that far, but it loses a bit of time. If you are using debug, there's a hotkey for this that says it's reset quick map storage is one of the glitches with speedrun QOL, which is it's a useful one, just so you don't have to quit out every time you want to practice quick map storage. Okay, so with my bench storage that I currently have, I cannot press any buttons that would get me off a bench, except unless I have inventory open, like this. Now, where this comes to be a problem is when I'm falling down into the loads, your inventory will close when you fall into a load, which means you can, if you're mashing buttons while you're loading, you can lose your bench storage. So you don't want to do that. Basically, while you're in the load, just let go. Don't press buttons until you get here. Oh, Mendy. So I just did another glitch here. Let me lose this. I just did another glitch there, which is the next important glitch of the run, which is called... Oh, before I forget, a very important part of bench storage. Most of the glitches we're going to cover will go away when you go into a load. But bench storage is a, I guess, sticky glitch in that it will not go away. And once you're in the load, once you leave that room where you got bench storage, basically the only way to get rid of bench storage is by sitting back on a bench. Otherwise there's it's just stuck there. So one important thing about bench storage is while you're on a bench, just think about it. If you would be on a bench, whenever you close inventory on a bench, it doesn't give you control back, right? So whenever you have bench storage, the game will still take away control because you open inventory. It always will take away control if you open inventory. But because you have bench storage, it sees you as being in a bench state. It will not give you control back when you close your inventory, which is bad. So you have to be very careful when you press inventory. Safe times to press inventory are in a load or during some other animation that when that animation ends, it gives you control back. So, but just be very careful with when you press inventory. If you do accidentally press inventory and you're playing modded, you can always use that hazard respawn. So here I'll press inventory and you can see I'm pressing inputs, nothing's happening. But you can use your hazard respawn key and that will save you from that. So, what can I do with bench storage? Why did we go out of the way to get it? Okay, so whenever you're in a load, you can basically do something called transition storage. Now, what transition storage is it's basically there's different ways to get menu storage, and it's a strong form of menu storage. And what that basically means is you kind of get in the state that you would during an inventory drop or something like that, where it's kind of like you have inventory open and the game will keep you in a certain animation where you are, it sees you as kind of impossible to move, and so it gives you different flags, one of which is a fast fall, basically, that when you fast fall or whenever you're falling, it uncaps your fall speed in the same way that an inventory drop would. It has a couple other properties, which are, there's a lot. It's one of the most important glitches of the run. It doesn't let you cannot press the nail button. You cannot interact with a lot of things when you have transition storage, including NPCs, most NPCs, not all, or the interact at the bottom of the well, which would normally take you up the well. It will not interact with it. And the other thing is that things that would normally take away control from you, a lot of them, are no longer take away control. So for example, normally if I focus, right, I can't move. However, if I have transition storage and I try to focus, I can move while I heal. Other things are boss screams, the scream that happens at Black Egg Temple that would normally take control away, you can just walk into the door there. If you cast a spell, you still move while casting the spell. And there's other things. You can also open inventory at any point. Opening inventory does not take away control when you have transition storage, so there's no fear there. And one thing that transition storage doesn't go away by closing inventory, but it does by doing some other things, which basically cancel the state that it puts you in. Things like focusing. As you can see, I don't have transition storage anymore. I can nail, I can do other, I could dream nail if I had dream nail. Normally you cannot dream nail, you cannot C-dash, and you cannot nail if you have transition storage, but I can because I focused, which lost transition storage for me. The other things that give you control back or take away transition storage are you take damage, if you cast a spell, if you close a text box, which there's not many that you can, but if you do, if you pick up an item like Dashmaster or Claw or a Charm or anything like that, you once the animation ends, you still have transition storage until the animation ends, but when the animation ends, you will lose it. Also, if you jump out of water, I believe it does, and a couple other things. Yeah, okay, that's the basics of transition storage. So I'll go back. I wouldn't normally have soul here, so I'll take away my soul. Now, the times when you can choose transition storage, or when you press inventory in a load, is before the game gives you control back. If you do it after the game gives you control back, then you will be you'll be stuck. Inventory, you'll have the same thing that would happen if you soft lock by pressing inventory. Well is a little bit special because well actually will give you control back when you land. So here you can just press inventory really late and try to cancel your hardfall. I messed it there. I messed it up there. Let me try that again. You can press it really late, which will reset your fall so you do not hardfall here. And you now have transition storage, so you can't nail to get any soul here, but you just continue on the next room and get ready for Gruz Drop. Gruz Drop is another room where we're going to want transition storage here. And we're going to try to land in the middle section here, if I can get it. And yeah, you want to try to slip past here and into the load directly if you can. It's fast. But it's okay if you miss it. It's only a little bit of... Hard falling isn't actually that much time save or time loss. This is another room where you want transition storage. We're going to be heading through here. heading into the next room. And now I need to talk about the next trick, which is, it's called bench storage out of bounds, or boob, because we're very mature. And here, let me move away from corner her. Ow. And that guy stopped. When you press inventory in a load, there's sort of 3 different outcomes here. So when you have bench storage, you can, depending on the time. So if I press it immediately, I will come through and I'll have transition storage. If I press it right after the room loads in, then I will fall through the load and I'll be down here. If I press it later, then I can turn around immediately and go back in the load. So the timings there can be a little strict. It can be helpful to do force camera follow to see when you get there. Oh, I did that too early. And yeah. So this is the first bench storage. So by doing this boob, we're skipping the Aspid fight here, which is very nice. And once again, we're going into this load, and like before, there is this little lip here. So you want to try to avoid these little corners that can catch you in the out of bounds, because it will hard follow you. So you go here, and then this is a turnaround. I didn't do it, but it's a turnaround. Okay, now we made it to Fungal. Let me go back and I will show you a different strat, which is, if you have seen a higher level NMMS run before, you might have noticed something that's happening that's a little weird. Here, let me find my save state really quick. So if we go into town here, you might have seen, if you've watched runs like this before, people jumping around this lamppost. So what is happening here? Why are people jumping at this lamppost? Well, we're not actually jumping at the lamppost. If you see this orange box to the side here, this is what we're jumping around. And we're trying to get around this lamppost. We're trying to get around this box. So what that box will do is it will set your bench to the Dirtmouth bench. By avoiding that box, we can keep the bench back at the corner from King's Pass, all the way over to the left. And this it helps in a couple ways. Later on, we're going to go back that way, so having a bench there is handy. But also, if we get there, if we have that bench and we have bench storage, then when you reload into the game, you will not get off of a bench when you spawn in. So you will keep your bench storage there. And so what that means is that instead of having to go buy a map and save put it back, if you can get this strat, let me see if I can get it really quick. If you can get this strat and sit on the bench and save put very quickly, then when you come back in, you will, I will show this off. You will have bench storage. And so as you can see, I could press inventory early. I have transition storage now. I have fast fall, so okay. Now, how did I just do that? Is a good question. Here, let me sort of respawn myself so I don't have transition storage anymore. Okay, so how did I just do that? Well, what I did is a trick which does not work on 1.5, so you cannot do this trick on 1.5, but you can do it on 1.4 or 1.3, which is called turn airwalk. And how this works is basically on the frame before I land, I need to turn around, and then on the next frame I jump. So if I can get it. And as you notice, I am in the walk animation while I'm still in the air, which is helpful, but it doesn't really do much, just being able to walk. However, when I am in this state, if I let go of jump or I have any downwards movement at all, I will lose airwalk instantly. So what I want to do is, jump without... I need to jump without ever letting the character go down. So how do you do this? Well, the only way to do that is to, on the frame after you let go of jump, jump again. It's a 1 frame input, which would suck to do if you can't buffer it. But what we can do here is we can pause to buffer it. So by hovering over the options in the middle here, I can press jump and pause at the same time. And if I get the timing right, then what will happen is it will pause, and then on the next frame I buffer to jump, so I will jump immediately. If I don't get the timing right, and I accidentally press jump before I press pause, then I will instead just go into the options menu. And so then I can press focus again to leave it and retry. So, well, I got it first try. Okay, let me see if I can get it from, if I can miss it here. It's gonna be hard to get, which is part of the problem with doing this strat. So, so if you see I pressed jump before pressing pause there, which meant that I accidentally got, it means that I go into this menu, which means I can just press focus to go back and retry. So you want to jump over that lamp twice if you're doing this strat. This strat is called Rosy Jumps. It saves about 30 seconds, and it is a constant source of frustration for anyone who is going for a really fast time. Now the question is, would I recommend that anyone uses this route? The answer is, if you are going for world record or you want to get a very fast time, then you probably have to do this. Otherwise, it comes down to, do you like jumping at a lamppost for 30 seconds, then resetting because you didn't get it, and then coming back and then jumping at a lamppost for 30 seconds and then quitting out because you didn't get it? I don't think most people would like that. So I don't recommend doing it if you want to have fun. If you just want to have fun, I don't recommend it. If you are world record hunting, then you have to do it pretty much. Okay, let me go back to my save point. From here, if you were to do the strat, then you would go down well, get the geo from the guy down there on the rock, go buy a map, and go directly to fungal instead of quitting out, because you have bench storage already. You don't need to quit out back. All right, now let's go back to the other save. We're gonna play from that one, not from this one, because I don't recommend doing the other strat, and this guide is for new players. Okay, so I have bench storage here, and we have to start going into fungal. Okay, here's where the run gets a little bit exciting. And where a lot of the tricky movement comes in. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is get transition storage when going into this load. And you're going to try to jump over the ledge here and land on that corner. It's kind of scary because the mushroom guy will be there very quickly. What are these guys called again? Fung crawlers. Those guys. They are... Oh, jeez. You want to land, landing on this edge and slipping off can be very difficult. But you have to land on it, or else it's an RNG artfall. Otherwise, you can just land here if you don't care. And then once you slip off, land here, and then all right, it's gonna land you here, and then again, you want to land on this ledge. If you go to left and you land on here, it's RNG hardfall again. Try to land here, slip off, and we're gonna go into Lake Eater Room. From Lake Eater Room, you can do a turnaround. So here, let me show that. And I want to show this for instructive purposes. If you fall out of bounds here, you soft lock. This happens. So be careful if you are going for the turnaround. Be very careful that you don't accidentally do a boob here, or you are just soft locked and you have to save quit back, which would suck. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're doing a turnaround, and then we're gonna do a boob to fall through and go all the way to the load. Okay, now in this room, if you did rosy jumps, you can enter this room. You'll have enough soul. You don't need to get hits here. And you can enter this room with transition storage, and it'll make the fall at the end of the room a little bit easier. But if you didn't, that's okay. Just make sure that you get 3 hits of soul in here. You're going to want to cast for later. So get a couple hits off this guy, get a hit off this guy, and then try to land here. If you had transition storage, it's a little easier to slip past this without hugging the wall. And we're going to do another boob in the next room. Oops, messed up my timing. See? Doesn't matter how much experience you have, you still mess up boob timings. And the thing that's scary in this room is this acid pool sticks out outside of the stage. So you cannot just hug right after you do the boob. You have to hold left for a little bit and then hook back in. And this timing can be a little scary at first, but it's okay. It's kind of lenient on how early you can press back. You just have to get a feel for it. Okay, now it's time for a walking simulator. There's nothing you can do in this room, just walk. If you, actually, this is another boob. Oh, it is if you can get the timing. This is another boob. You're gonna fall into this load and turn around. Okay, now in this room, if you happen to get, for whatever reason, you happen to get an extra 3 hits of soul and you are missing a bit of health, I can, for example, so let's say I'm missing 1 health. You have the option here of, if you have transition, you can get transition storage here and get 1 heal off if you need it. But make sure you still have a cast of soul. Very important to keep a cast of soul here. If you feel like it, you can do an NTA on the mushroom. It's not that hard to save time with it, but it doesn't save much time at all, so it's up to you. And then we get into this room. So this room is, there's 2 options in this room. I've timed them and they're both pretty much a frame tie. So it's whichever one you're more comfortable with. And one of them is to go with transition storage. And the other is to just go through without. The nice thing about having transition storage here is these mushrooms will not bounce you. So you can just walk along them, no big deal, and jump off of them. However, if you are going without, you can't do that. Alright, so let me go through the rest of transition storage strat. You go here, land around here, do a full jump, and then buffer a focus. And doing that will get rid of transition storage as you land. It's going to be slipping off with the focus, and you lose your transition storage. You need to lose transition storage here so that you can pogo this mushroom, otherwise you can't make it up. We're going to that top left load. So I will show that one more time. You go through here. Jump around that big mushroom, hold focus, and go through. A little interesting thing that's not super relevant, but is kind of funny. There is, for whatever reason, a massive amount of buffer time for focus specifically. So like even up here, I can already hold focus and it'll buffer it. It's kind of silly. But if you absolutely cannot do the same thing with a jump. It's like way bigger for focus for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. It's very funny. But the other strat without transition storage is to go through here. You want to pogo this mushroom, and go through. Either way, I think it's whatever is you're more comfortable with. If anything, transition storage might be like a frame faster for my timings, but it was so close. I'm pretty sure it's mostly just a frame tie. This is what I'm more comfortable with. I'm more comfortable with the transition storage, but again, it's up to you. Just make sure if you do the transition storage, you're getting that focus there. The transition storage strat is the one that I'm more comfortable with, but whichever one is more comfortable to you is the better one because it is nearly identical in time. Okay, now, going through here, it's another turnaround, and we're going to be boobing on this side. Basically, congratulations, you just did epogo. Who needs to do epogo when you can just fall through the load? Alright, now, the strat in this next room is a little bit more difficult. It's a little scary, but the goal is to basically make a jump that is going to land right on the corner. So the visual cue that I use is you want to jump, if you see this mushroom in the background that I'm standing next to, I jump like around when the knight is going to the left side of it, like around here. And you want to land right on the corner there. You're going to be doing this with transition storage, so you cannot pogo the guy, which makes it a lot harder. If you want, it loses a little bit of time to do that, but it's not that bad to just go without. You get like a hard fall, and you fall a bit slower. But overall, it's not the end of the world if you don't want to do it. But if you want to go for the faster strat, you want to jump around here and then buffer a jump. And you see, even I miss it. So, it's difficult. Let me back. And I will show it off again. You want to go to here and buffer. And yeah, it's difficult strat. I don't get it every time. And you want to buffer jump there. So you're kind of more in the middle of the mushroom, I guess, when you jump, but... And then once you get it, you pre-jump, land here, and land here. Okay, next room. This is the scary room. This is Flawless Mantis Pogo, and I'll try to give some insight, but it's kind of tricky. So, you want to get transition storage into this room, and this is why you have a cast of soul. I jump a little bit there, I go here, and yeah, you have to hope that guy doesn't back up. If he does, you lose a bit of time. Oh well. And this is a lot of, there's a lot going on here. So I'll go step by step. First step, fall here, and jump up. Once you land, you're going to be doing a quick focus to lose your transition storage so that you can actually hit the lever here. And then jump over this guy. Hit the lever and go back. And hope he isn't being rude. Which he sometimes is. And then sometimes you get into weird patterns like this, but I kind of want to damage tank if you can. Yeah, I mean, usually it's recoverable. It's just kind of tricky depending on the pattern you get. So after getting past the guy, there's a couple different setups I like to do based on where these guys are. So if I notice one of them is further back, I like to stand pretty far back. If I notice one of them is like either around here or stuck under the arch, I like to stand a little bit farther back to let the first guy, the closer guy, space out with the other guy a little bit more. So when I'm standing back, the front guy will be heading more towards me and the other guy will still be stuck over here a little bit so that they're spaced out and it's easier to get the pogo. If you get a little different pattern where they're kind of stuck together, I like to stand kind of close and do some little hops like that and try to get them to line up a little bit better. It is really tricky. No matter what you do, it's really hard. And while you're early on, this is going to be one of your biggest source of resets. Yeah. As you can see, I kind of like to stand a little bit close and try to get them to line up for me. But you don't want to stand too close, or they won't. They'll be a little bit rude. So yeah, here's the situation where I kind of want to go back because they lined up kind of nicely. And there are other strats here. These are just my strats. I'm sure other people might even have more consistent strats than me, but I find these strats to be pretty good. And finally, the backup here is... if everything else goes wrong, these guys die. Just like before, like Rosie jumps, you can do a turn airwalk here, and try to get an airwalk jump up. You can, and that's basically your only recovery if you miss it. It's useful to learn. It loses a bunch of time, but the world record currently has one, so it is very possible to still get a good run even if you mess up and this happens. Or you get bad RNG and this happens. Okay, so next we have a trick that is only possible before 1432. Part of the reason why you want to run 1315 is claw early control. So we're going to be leading this Mantis into a position to hit us. So this is one of the reasons why you want to have a lookup button bound, a right analog stick button bound, so you can actually see where the Mantis is as you go. I'm going to set a save state here and do a this. I like to do a little mini hop here and then go as a timing. Watch, go. And I went a little early. So, what am I looking for when I'm doing this? So the first thing I'm looking for is I'm waiting on the first time to walk when this guy is about to cross over. When it crosses around this corner, that's when I first walk, and I walk to about here, about 3/4, 80% maybe of the way over. And then I look up again, and I wait until it is crossing this line. As it's about to touch this line, that's when I go again. So, let me show that again in real time. So do the mini hop there as a timing, look up, go back, go back. And that's a clean setup to get this guy. Do it one more time. Back, go forward. There we go. That's the general goal here. Okay, next we're going to be continuing on. Just try not to get hit by anything and walk over to the right. So, let me use the cheat to kill those guys. So this wall is kind of annoying. As long as you're jumping later on, you can make it up with 2 wall jumps. If you can get a coyote jump here, you might be able to make it in 1. The other option is to do a turn wall jump. Gosh, I'm not very good at these. I don't normally do this. But you can do this to get up if you'd like. It's, I don't like doing it. It is a strat there that works. If you do enjoy those kind of strats. I generally try to get the coyote jump there. But like I said, the other way is fine. Also, if you don't care, that's fine. Just do 2 wall jumps. It's not the end of the world. Okay, continuing on. We're going to get to another major glitch. Another important glitch of the run, which is... You've learned about boobs. Now, it's time for who boobs. So what does who boobs stand for? Who boobs stands for hazard out of bounds, out of bounds. So, if you have fallen out of bounds earlier, you might have noticed that on this patch, this doesn't work on old patches, but on this patch, if you fall out of bounds, the game will hazard respawn you, which works basically the same as if you had fallen in spikes, but it doesn't actually damage you. And you do get transition storage if you do this, for what that's worth. Doesn't usually really matter, but... Now be very careful when you're doing this, because if you immediately walk back into the load, then this happens. So you need to wait a little bit. You can use your hazard respawn button to save yourself here, but the visual cue that I was taught and that I like is to wait until I see 2 flashes and then go. Oops, I missed the time. So, what is the point of this? Why am I getting a hazard respawn before going through? Don't you just lose a bunch of time? Yes. Yes, you do. But it gives you the option. It gives you an extra option, which is you can stand in the load here. Now, normally, if you pause in the load, like I was doing turns earlier, then it will immediately just send you back into the other room. But if you do this trick where you get hazard respawn and then go back, it doesn't. And so you can just stand in the load like this. So normally, if I would try to use a boob here, basically it would just lock me here, I would be stuck, and then I would just go back. But because I did the hazard first, then I'm allowed to just walk to the left. Now, boobs are used in a couple places and do save a bunch of time if you learn them, so you don't have to do this one here, but I recommend learning it because it's going to be useful for later. It will save a lot of time later if you go for it, if you learn it. So this trick is called boob, side boob, rube, depending on who you ask. But yeah. The other option is to go through the room normally. You can do that. It's kind of annoying. I don't remember if you're supposed to have transition storage here. I never do this strat. You can either do... You need to do a... You can't actually make this jump. So you have to do a reverse wall jump to actually make it, or a turn around wall jump. Or... But the problem is if you do it like this, do it up here, then if you try to hold left, yeah, it's kind of a little bit slower. So here, let me go like this. If you get this, which is kind of hard, but this is a little bit faster to get, but either way. This loses about 2 seconds to getting the Hoo-Boob first try, but it's safer, it's easier. I have not done this strat in a very long time, so I definitely recommend learning the Hoo-Boob because you're going to need it later, or you're going to lose a bunch more time. Okay. Next, so either way, you're making your way into this load, and make sure to get transition storage here. Very important to get transition storage here. What it does, it's not required, but what it does is it lets you, it will first uncap your fall speed, but the second thing is that when you have transition storage, you cannot wall cling, and so you won't find yourself accidentally wall clinging and losing time by holding against a wall. So you can feel free to do that and cling walls, and it doesn't matter. So having to the storage here is nice. Now, so what I'm doing here is I open inventory on purpose. Whenever you're in a pickup animation, let me just show the pickup animation. If I were to just pick it up and I press menu, nothing is happening, right? I'm mashing escape right now, nothing's happening. However, if I were to instead close menu after picking it up, close my inventory right after picking it up, then I can quit immediately. So we want to open inventory as you're walking down around here somewhere. You won't soft lock if you have transition storage. If you don't have transition storage for whatever reason, make sure that you don't press inventory until after picking it up, or you're going to soft lock. So that would be bad. Hey, Dooney. I should go. Alright. Either way, you can quit as soon as so there's the little glowing circle here under the knight. As soon as that little glowing circle is gone, which happens very early after picking it up, you're allowed to say quit and you'll have the item. Okay. So next, we are going to say quit out. If you did the rosy jumps, things are going to look a little different here. If you did not, then this is how it will look. So again, mouse menuing is a little bit faster. And so we're going to do the same thing as we did earlier. If you did rosy jumps, you'll spawn all the way on the left ledge, so you don't have to do any of this, but we lose bench storage because we spawn on a bench and have to get off of it. I'd lost bench storage there. So I have to get bench storage back because I'm going to need it. So I'm going to do a QMS again to get Elder Bug text storage. I missed it. Did I lose my quick map storage? Oops. There we go. I think I lost it. Okay. We're going to be opening inventory again and continuing on. Okay. So you need to have inventory open this time because you need to do jumps. And jumps would lose your bench storage otherwise. So it's required to have bench storage this time. You need to wall jump up. I try to do 5 wall jumps here, and then I watch the 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, yeah. The 6th is where you would bonk, so you have to be a little careful in the 6th. Okay, now, from here, there are 2 different strats. There is the Comsob strat, which I typically don't do, and there is the sort of safer strat, which I prefer. But if you want to use the Comsob strat, I will link it in the description here, and feel free to watch that and copy that strat. The gist of it is that you're going to be equipping Dashmaster here, overcharming with Fury later instead of just equipping Fury, and then fighting the Moss Knight, which there's RNG involved, and it's a scary fight, especially when you're going to be on 1 HP with Fury. So I just don't like doing it, but if you want to save, I think it saves 2 or 3 seconds, something around there, then that's good. That's good for you. I'm not exactly sure on the number. It might be more. So another thing, if you're doing this strat, don't mash buttons in this load. Don't press jump. Don't press anything. Now, whether you are doing the other strat or not, you want transition storage here. So why are we getting transition storage here? Well, again, transition storage lets us fast fall. Hey, Lauren. If you were to fall down here, there is a chance you will... Oh. If you were to fall down here, I guess I can show it off. There is an RNG chance that you will hard fall. You don't welcome. But it's RNG. Also, it's just slower than if you have transition storage here. So just getting transition storage is easier. It's faster, and it means you won't hard fall. Okay, so, but transition storage is bad later, because if you have transition storage, you can't pogo. So you can't cross the big spike hit that's in your way. So instead, remember when I said earlier that closing text will take away your transition storage? Well, what we're going to be doing here is talking to this sign. A lot of things won't let you interact, but this sign is one of the things that will. So you're talking to the sign, and you can keep walking to the left. Next, this sign will close after 3 jumps. So make sure you use your 3 jumps wisely. The first one is going to be around here to get a pre-jump and fall in the pit a little bit faster and hold right. Second one is going to be a pre-jump here to get another, and then you're going to want to jump to get rid of your transition storage immediately. And it's a little faster than just falling, and you don't risk hard falling. Next, I'll go across, and you're going to be getting Fury here. Oh, I should mention also, if you have 1.5, you basically need to do the other Fury strat because you cannot do full HP Fury. It was patched on 1.5. So keep that in mind. Part of why playing 1.5 is not a great idea. So, next. This charm, we're going to be getting Fury. It's going to be used exclusively for Hornet and maybe Zero if you're feeling brave. This is purely RNG which way it goes. If it goes left, you save like a second or 2. It's kind of nice. I think just like a second, maybe less than a second, but still it's kind of nice. But either way, just pick it up, keep going. Ignore the Geo Rocks, they don't matter. We're going to be trying to jump from here up to here. It means the guy down there will not be in your way. Now, something important to note here is that on 1.3, this guy is bugged. Or maybe not bugged, but for whatever reason, he just stops at this. Even if it's opened, he will just stop there anyway. I don't know. On 1.5, he doesn't do that. So keep in mind, watch out for him. He can get in your way and be really annoying. Pogo him if you have to. But yeah, otherwise, just keep walking. And we're gonna reach up here. I will try to show the fastest strat here if I can get it, but it's kind of annoying and a bit TFT, I think. So I don't recommend doing it, but let's see if I can get it. Yeah, so this wall is very weird. if you notice there's like a little bit of diagonal sticking through, and that can mean that you won't get the wall cling there, but sometimes you will. And it's a little weird. I'm not getting the wall cling at all right now, but... So, I don't normally do that strat because I don't like that wall at all. So instead, I just do a little bit safer of a strat to just land up here and then make it up. Okay, now, another glitch, another major glitch of the run, another big glitch, is... Yeah, I'm post Mimi here. I don't know what I was saying, but it's a load warp. So, basically, what's happening here is... when I go through, I can press inventory to fall back into the load. Now, because I didn't ever actually land, the game doesn't set my hazard respawn point to the place above me. So instead, it will keep my last hazard respawn point, which is this purple box. However, if you have this purple box as your hazard respawn point, then it will... So it's going to respawn me to this hazard respawn point in the next room. So, but if you do that, if that happens to you, then that hazard respawn point is so high you end up in this block, and there's no way out. So you don't want to do this. So instead, what you want to do is jump out first, which will give you a better respawn point, a respawn point that won't kill you, basically, by falling back in, and do the same thing. And because he did that, you will spawn here instead. Okay. Now, while you're doing this, we're going to be doing some charm menuing. So, what you're going to do is go through here, do the load warp, and quickly get Fury on while you're waiting, while you're falling. And because, like I said, because you hazard respawned, you keep your transition storage. I cannot nail right now. And then you're going to pre-jump this, land on this block, jump, 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 and head over. If you are doing the other strat, the strat that's in Comsob, then you have to overcharm there, which is very annoying, because you have to do it while you're moving, basically. And it can be pretty frustrating to get. Okay, but now we made it to the next load. So this load is a pain, and it's a pain for everyone, especially people who just start. It's very easy to mess up. So we're going to be landing, we're going to slide past Elderbug. Now, it's difficult to know where you are is the problem. So you want to be holding right just enough to slip past this ledge, and then go back. If you miss this, it really sucks. Oh, I didn't equip Fury because I... If you miss this, either because you don't know how far you are and you like overhold, oh, that was fine still, or because some other reason, so if I just like overhold here, oh, that was still enough, but if I do, then I will end up over here, and you have to go all the way back into here, you have to hard fall again at the Grimm floor. It loses a ton of time, and it's very frustrating. I mean, the biggest part is that you don't know how far you are, so it's really hard. It's really difficult to tell how long you need to hold. And if you don't hold for long enough, then you'll end up here, which also is equally frustrating. So, just don't get too beat up about it. Don't get too upset. It's fine. It happens to everyone. I miss this all the time. I see people miss this all the time. So, instead, just, you know, stay calm. If you miss it, it's okay, and land in this load. So, this room is another boob. So we're gonna be falling in white. And if you are feeling brave, then you can go for a strat that does that. It's very scary. I don't recommend doing it. I go for it, but I play it pretty safe, and I almost never get it. But yeah, I will do something like that and try to get it. It usually doesn't work, but that's okay. And then just, I like to use SOCD here, tap left, and hold right, and it'll take me back. Okay. So here's the split point. If you're doing the Comsob strat, you fall down into Moss Knight Room, down there. If not, then, oops, you don't want transition storage. Well, it doesn't really matter. If not, then we're going to be heading through and just walking across. So the goal here is to get hit by every fly. You want to land on the left side of every fly if you can, and try not to miss them. Just going to put us at Fury HP for Hornet. And there you go. This room is a transition storage room. Just do the normal movement that you probably know from NMG, and look over that guy and head into Hornet. Okay, now for Hornet. This is the point where you need to have the analog inputs. An analog stick means of inputting. So, what you want to do here is, while you're in the load, just hold left and tap right with the, hold left while you have, you want to open inventory, hold left and tap right to get to a Dash Master. You're going to be overtiming Dash Master while you go, but you just keep going. So in the load, go for inventory, tap right to get to here, and start mashing enter. If you're a little bit slower, if you start a little bit slower, that's okay. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then save the last one for this jump, because getting it the last time would mean you would walk into the wall. But that's the strat. And if you are on 1432 or 1.1424 or 1315, you will have full HP Fury. You will have Fury still, but you have full HP. Okay. So because I have transition storage here, I can just keep walking when she talks to me. And I want to walk to around here, this spot, a little bit right of this pillar, and just match the text. So we're going to be fighting Hornet. And the main, and basically the ideal is to get her trapped in the corner as much as possible, and using forward slashes wherever you can. If she does a really big jump, you might have to abandon that, but as much as you can, try to get forward slashes to keep her in the corner. So I'll try to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count your staggers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she jumped over me there. That was my bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Remember to count your staggers. You need, it's 6 hits for a stagger, so keep your staggers counted, keep chaining staggers on her, and keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, jump, and smash through her text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Nice. And that's a good fight. Okay. Next. You want to mash here to pick up this, pick up Cloak as soon as possible. And again, you open and close map so you can quit out early. And as soon as you get it, quit out. It saves about 7 or 8 seconds to be able to quit out early there, so it's pretty important. Okay. So now when you come back in, you'll either be loading up at the top right or in here, depending on where you go. If you load it up at the top right, I assume you know what a dash storage is, so do a dash storage. If you don't know what a dash storage is, basically while you have transition storage, you can dash and then pause, and you will keep your dash speed until you get stuck for whatever reason. But as we're going this way right now, we just again need to talk to Elderbug to get transition storage back, or sorry, to get bench storage back. Okay. There we go. It's a little bit tricky sometimes, but once again, just mash through the text and get going. Oh, sorry, you can dash here. You have dash now. Again, you can either do this. I think it might be faster slightly to pause up above and then continue. I'm not sure. It's pretty close. But either way, remember now that you have Dash Master, so you can down dash if you're playing on anything before 1.5. You can accidentally down dash pretty easily, so be careful about that. Next in this room, we're going to be doing a dash storage, just like I was talking about. Okay, so when you enter, make sure that you're fully inside the room, and you want to be doing a dash and then pausing during your dash. So, in general, if you pause while you have transition storage, you are stuck at whatever speed you're at. So if I'm walking forward, let me show this. If I'm walking forward and I pause, I will continue walking forward. Should respawn. If you are standing still and you pause, you're standing still. And finally, if you are dashing and you pause, you continue dashing. I recommend, if you can, I paused it here with no clip. If you can, try to neutral your dashes. Otherwise, it's kind of easy to get bounced up in the air sometimes, which can either soft lock you or lose some speed. So basically, stop holding forward when you do the dash storage to neutral your dash. Usually a lot safer. Okay. This is another boob. Oh wait, no, this is not another boob. Oh my gosh. All right, let me don't. It is not another boob. I used to forget this all the time. Okay, so for later, you're going to need 3 hits of soul. So try to get them in this room if you can. Try to get one here, if possible. It's kind of hard to do that. It takes a lot of practice. If you miss it here, it's okay. There's some flies later you can get soul off of, so don't worry about it too much. Now, this is another boob. This one can be kind of tricky, kind of annoying to get. I recommend just dashing. It's easier that way, but you can do it without dashing. But it's a little more annoying. If you just, it's possible. It's just a little more annoying. I like dashing there. Okay, if you didn't get 3 hits of soul, there's flies over there. Get the soul off the flies. If you did, then just wait. And the timing here is to wait until after the knight has walked off and then dash, and you'll go directly in the load. Okay, so there's a strat here. Basically, like before, like when falling down the well, if you press inventory, it will kind of stall your fall, and it will stall your fall here so that you can actually re-enter the load directly without ever landing. It's a neat little trick. It saves a little bit of time. It's not required. But you want to do this, and then do a, oh my gosh, do a load warp like before, and then fall out of bounds. You're going to hazard respawn you, make sure you're holding right, and hold left and dash left. A lot going on there, but I'll try to show it again. So reverse your fall, do another load warp, and fall and hold right, and then hold left and dash. Now, you can technically transition storage here. If you transition storage here, it saves about a second. I've timed it. And you want to dash right about when the screen goes fully black. It's a difficult timing. If you miss it, you lose a ton of time because you have to redo the whole load warp. So it's scary to do. I typically don't go for it. I did it when I was running any percent, but Otherwise, I don't go for it. But yeah, as soon as you get to here, oops, try to not be over that ledge. And just dash into this load. Okay. This is a scary turn, by the way. For most of the other turns, there will be like the scene will sort of light up before you enter, so you have a visual cue for when you can turn. This one does not do that as much. As you can see, like by the time the screen lit up, I was already out here. And remember, if you pause too late, you just soft lock, and you just have to pause. You just have to save quit all the way back if you're in a run. So be really careful about that. I don't turn around here usually. I usually just hold right to walk through the load. Doesn't lose that much time. Next, do a little mini jump dash, and fall in here. And we're gonna be doing a just transition storage to fall faster. Get past that guy, and I told you there was another Huboob in the run. This is the other Huboob. This is a lot harder of a Huboob though. This is a very difficult trick, but it saves so much time. You just you kind of have to learn it if you want to like go fast. It's pretty tricky. It takes a lot of practice. I recommend just practicing this a bunch. So it's a Huboob, hazard out of bounds. This one is called Rube. And basically just wait like normal, and then you want to time your pause. Yeah, exactly. You have to time your pause to exactly when you're still in this load, but also still on the ledge so you don't fall. It's tricky. Wait, I need to actually fall out of bounds. I'll try to show it off if I can get it here. Yeah. So, as you can see, it was really close there. And every time you miss it, you have to go back for the Huboob, so it's kind of scary. It's kind of easy to accidentally re-go in the load here if you mess up. So what I recommend doing is letting yourself full jump and then dashing over to the wall to make it so you don't accidentally hit the load again and have to do it all over. The other way to do it is you can just go get Fury. Oh, I'm invulnerable because I loaded safe state at the wrong time, probably. Yeah, okay. You can get Fury here. And you can full HP Fury if you like by unequipping Dashmaster and re-equipping Dashmaster. Keep in mind, if you're doing this, you don't want transition storage here. If you have soul, you can just focus to get rid of it, so it's not the end of the world. And you can just fight Gressmother here, which is a lot slower than doing the Rube / Huboob, whatever you want to call it, but is a lot easier also. So. If you're doing this strat, then head through. The strat here, so you have to get up there somehow. You technically could do a Walkling storage jump if you really wanted to, but a lot easier is to just enter its Lubra's hut, leave with transition storage, keep your inventory up, importantly, and you're going to sit on this bench and get something called bench float, which what that does is, here, let me show you what this looks like with the boxes again. Okay, so what this does is it basically lets me fly. And be very careful, again, if you're sitting on a bench here. So if you get off the bench, you lose your bench storage, and that's really bad here. You don't want to lose your bench storage. So if you're doing the strat, be careful, but bench float up, and then you can dash over. And you should still have bench storage, which you can tell by trying to open inventory in the load. Okay, though. If you did Rube, then the dash movement here is you're going to be blind for it, but it's not too bad. Once you get to the top, it is... Oops. Let me go back up there. So once you get to the top, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and go back and load. Okay. You need to get transition storage here while entering this room, and you're going to jump over here and jump in the water. Oops, I accidentally jumped. So, as I was saying earlier, if you jump out of water, you do lose your transition storage. So try not to do that. So fall into the water. You can down dash if you like. I think there's a strat with doing a weird jump dash, but it's kind of scary. So if you don't feel like doing that, then you can down dash. And just walk through. Just dash across. And jump up. This is just like NMG. You're going to be doing the same stuff you would in NMG here. Just do this and up. Across. And talk to the pedestal. One thing you can do here, you have bench storage. So with bench storage, you can change your terms whenever. I don't know if I mentioned that at first, but yes, when you have bench storage, you can change your terms whenever. Because the game treats you as being on a bench. So, what you can do here is if you don't want Fury for 0, which, just don't put on Fury for 0. I see so many people say, oh, I can do Fury on 0. I have so much practice with Fury on 0. And then I watch them fight 0 with Fury, and then they go slower than if they had just not had Fury on. Because they play it so careful. So just do it without Fury, okay? You know, if you're going for world record, fine. You can try Fury, but otherwise, just don't do it. If you're doing it with not Fury, then while you're waiting on the pedestal here, this is a perfect time to take off Fury. Because nothing else is going on anyway. Next, just mash through this cutscene. Okay. You're gonna be spawning in here. If you need a reference for this movement, then look up Yihou's any percent because Yihou has Dash Master there. So if you want to see, just look up Yihou's any percent Isma run, and there's the movement. If you want the movement here, I will do my best to copy the movement, but I will not do it perfectly, I'm sure. So jump up here, here. It's 4 dashes. Jump dash, jump dash, jump dash, 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 neutral dash, or just dash off, and then a bunch of jump dashes. And just like that. I'm sorry, I can't really show that again, because it doesn't load properly, but just watch that if you need movement reference. That was pretty good. Otherwise, watch Yihou do it. I do not claim to be better at NMG movement than Yihou. Alright, tier skip, just like normal. You have Dash Master, so it should be pretty easy. And we're going to be falling in here. Okay. So. Now is the start of the point where we're going for 0. We're going for the 0, we're going to be doing a 0 dupe. So this is the whole point of doing... Basically, the whole point of doing this route is so that... or the whole point of playing on 1.3 as compared to older patches is that we get dupes and Dreamnail. So the whole point of early game was just to get Claw, Dash, and Dreamnail. Also Dash Master. Because those are pretty much the only things we need to finish the run. So, the other thing we need is Dreamgate. So the last goal is to get Dreamgate, and we're going to be doing that by doing a dupe. So instead of getting 900 essence from fighting bosses or whatever, we're just going to get 11 copies of 0, which will be worth 1100 essence, just enough to get Dreamgate. Okay, so when you walk in this room, you want to go here, hit the bell, and leave the room. Leave, re-enter with transition storage, And we want to set our bench here. It's important to set your bench here, but you don't want to lose bench storage. So a way that you can set your bench here but not lose bench storage is talk to Stag, start mashing with Stag, and walk to the left. So I'm gonna start mashing through text. And then as soon as I can, I will go to the Dirtmouth Stag and sit on the bench while I can do that. The reason why I'm able to walk there is because I have transition storage. Stag is another one of the few things that lets you interact while you have transition storage. Okay, so here I will go back to try to explain in the next room. Okay, so the whole reason we got Soul is right here. Basically, we need to, ideally we want to have the Stag menu up and hit the lever at the same time. However, if I want to have the Stag menu up and have control, I need transition storage. But as you know, as we've talked about, if you have transition storage, you can't use nail. So we're going to be doing something a little sneaky, which is if I normally tried to focus while I have the Stag menu up, it would just close the Stag menu. However, if I focus as I'm starting the Stag menu, as I'm opening Stag menu, it doesn't close it yet, and I still can get the focus off and lose transition storage. So this is going to be a lot. I'm going to transition storage in the load, talk to Stag, and then focus while the Stag menu is opening. So here's that all at once. Transition storage here, talk to Stag, and focus at the same time, or right after. And now I have transition storage, but I also still have the Stag menu open. So why do I need the Stag menu open? Well, that's a good question. On this patch, the way that you start a room dupe is by stagging somewhere and leaving the room while you're in the Stag, while the Stag load is starting. So what I mean doing is also another thing. If you press nail, it's going to close the menu, so don't press nail first. We're going to get on the elevator, jump, and then press nail to hit the lever, and then dash out of the room as soon as the screen goes black. And what that has done is it started a room dupe. I can show that again. Although it doesn't, I don't need to hit the lever again. I'll show it again here. If you Stag again, you undo, by the way. So we're going to talk to Stag and focus, walk over here, hit this, and as I'm jumping, and dash out of the room as soon as the screen goes black. That's the timing for how to start a room dupe, is you want to wait till the screen goes black. Okay, now it's time to start explaining the room dupes. So how does a room dupe work? A room dupe works where basically I have two rooms loaded on top of each other at the moment. At the moment, it is Resting Ground Stag, because I stagged to Resting Grounds, and it is Dirtmouth, because I also left the Dirtmouth Stag to go to Dirtmouth. So as you can see, I have the Dirtmouth floor above me, and if you look over there, there is Dirtmouth, and the well and stuff. It's all the way over there. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to be walking out, and we basically are trying to move rooms in a specific way to be able to get through to 0. Now there's a lot of rooms in the way there's a lot of walls in the way that are going to be blocking us, so we have to do this in a very specific way to actually get there. So the first thing is we want to go into this first load. In post Mimi here, what I meant to say was that the shape of Resting Grounds is going to put us into some really awkward load positionings. This is the exit to Resting Ground Stag, so it's going to take us into the big room that has the entrance to Seer in it. Now, how these rooms work, how a room dupe works, is that all the rooms will line up at, like... Wait, all the rooms will line up at, like, 0, 0. Pretty much. Not every room, some rooms are weird, but a lot of rooms will line up at 0, 0. And so, a lot of times, you can sort of enter a weird load by just going back in sometimes. And so I'll show you what this looks like. Oh, by the way, if you have, if you want to set a save state here and you want to load a save state, where is it? You need to use the load, either quick slot, load duped, or load, wait, where is it? Oh, load dupe save state from file. You need to be using one of these if you want to load a duped save state. That's all you have to, I mean, you can save, just do the normal save, and then press one of these load dupes to actually get the dupe. Otherwise, it will just spawn you in whatever the main room is. Okay. So, actually, I'm going to show this with bench warp if I can. So there's this little function. Let me move my controls to the side. There's this function in bench warp which basically lets you show which rooms are open right now. Here, let me move this to the side a bit so that you can see. And what rooms I have right now: Resting Grounds 09, Resting Grounds 5. If you see, this is my active room, the top room. It is the room that the game kind of sees me in. And so if I were to set a dreamgate here, it would put it in the active room. And a couple other things. Also, the active room is the one that unloads when you go into the next room. So, what are we doing from here? So, when we go back in this load, I will show you. We get pushed through here. Now, as you can see, there are two loads on top of each other. This is what's known as an RNG load. And basically, one of these loads is the load from the tall room that has Seer in it. It's the bottom load, is the one that has the tall room, which will push us out closer to 0. This top load is the one from Resting Grounds, which takes us just back into the other room. We want the bottom load if we can get it. So you can either do this as an RNG load, or if you are good at timing, you can do a very late boob. Ooh, I didn't get it, but I got the RNG anyway. If you are good at timing, you can do a very late boob, which will basically push you down enough so that you're only in the bottom load there. Which will just basically let you go through. If you miss the boob there, you do lose a bit of time, but you can just walk back left to re-enter the RNG load. Okay, so now that we're here, we enter a little bit of a weird point. So, I need to get into this top load here. Let me just do this so I can walk through. I need to get into this top load here, but I can't. The RNG load is here, but I'm not even getting pushed in the RNG load, I'm getting pushed into the bottom load. So, how do I get through? Well, you remember how Hooboobs kind of disable the load that you spawn in? Well, they don't. They will stop disabling it as soon as you leave. Also, they don't disable loads that you're not in. Basically, they just make it so while you're in one load, you will not enter that load. So what we can do is, we can do basically a Hooboo. So go back through, fall down, and then wait. And as I'm at the wall here, I want to wall jump, but I miss the timing. This timing is very strict. It can be difficult to get. So don't worry if you miss it. I miss it all the time. And I do the wall jump there, and it pushes me through to the 0 room. That jump is really tricky, so I recommend getting a little practice on it if you can. But it's just about timing. You just need to jump as soon as the room's here. So, if you see down here, a new thing has happened. I see Resting Grounds 02, and I have Resting Grounds 02 boss. So, so in patch 1.3, Team Cherry did, I think it's supposed to be lag reducing measure, and they have some bosses set apart from the rooms. In every patch before that, the boss is just part of the room, but they isolated them from the rooms in 1.3, I think is a lag reducing measure. However, what that means is that normally if you would leave the room, it just unloads with the room. It doesn't matter. However, if you're in a room dupe, instead, it keeps adding rooms on. And it doesn't just add one room every time you enter. It goes in a not quite exponential growth, but the more times you add it, the more rooms you'll have. So, and it can quickly scale out of control. Which we'll get back to later. So, if you were smart and took off Fury, then you just can go here, do this, and just fight 0. Let me set a save state, actually. Ooh, actually, I can't really set a save state. It messes up your camera, but... just fight 0 normally. Try not to get hit. It can be really tricky. Boss has jank hitboxes, so gotta be careful. You need, I think 40 hits to kill 0, so... just fight 0, and as soon as 0 dies, you can leave. You don't have to wait at all, you can just leave as soon as 0 dies. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to get pushed back through, and every time I leave this room, it's going to keep adding more 0s. So for this category, you only need to leave the room 4 times, but for some other categories, you might even need to leave the room up to 7 times. And each time I do, you're going to see at the bottom more and more of this O2 boss getting added. So I leave the room again, I go back. I do a turn to leave the room faster, I go back. I lost count, so I'm going to do an extra one. I think that was the 4th one, but I'll do a 5th. So as you can see, I have so many boss down here. I think, yeah, I did an extra one, but that's okay. If you haven't done some sort of audio fix, then this can be really loud. I have done an audio fix, so it won't be as loud, but there will be a lot of particles here, so just be warned if you're sensitive to that. And as soon as you dream now, you want to open and close inventory. And you can leave. Yeah, I did an extra one there. If you only do 4, you'll only have 1100, but we only need 900, so you only need to leave the room 4 times. I accidentally left 5, but it doesn't really matter. Next should be leaving the room here. And just go immediately to Seer. We'll jump up, and we're going to be doing, like I said earlier, quick map storage can give you inventory storage, which basically, it kind of gives you an on-demand way of getting control back. So what you want to do in this room is press, I like to space this out a bit, but press map, inventory, map. I find it if you don't want to rush the inputs too much, or else it can get messed up. So you want to do this. Make sure you didn't get bench storage, by the way. If you get bench storage, this won't work, so don't do that. And just start talking to Stag, or to Seer. You want to keep talking to Seer until you get to the Dream Wielder reward, and then you have something else to do after the Dream Wielder reward. Okay, so is this Dream Wielder? Yeah. So next, she's going to give me a vessel fragment. So the fun part about getting a vessel fragment is that after you lose, or after the vessel fragment menu closes, it will give you control back. So what we're going to do is we're going to start getting the vessel fragment, and then immediately close inventory to get control back, and start getting Dreamgate. I'm going to start the Dreamgate sequence immediately. And Dreamgate will be given to you right away. You don't have to wait at all. And as soon as the vessel fragment thing ends, you'll get control back again, and you can save quit. So I'm going to be talking. Get the vessel fragment. Close inventory. Get control again. Talk. And she's gave me Dreamgate. And now, because the vessel fragment closed, I can leave right away. And that's the fastest way to skip stuff there. Okay. We have almost reached the end game point of this run. There is one last thing to do before we get to the final dupe. This is a pretty short run. We're getting close to the end. So. Now, like I said earlier, you can use So one way that you can get bench storage here, we're going to need bench storage. So where we're going now is we're going to Grimm Lantern so that we can actually get the Grimm fight to start. Or we can actually get the Grimm troop to show up. So you want bench storage to get there faster. And what you can do is, like, one way that you could get bench storage is by using this card and having text storage and doing this. But that's a little inefficient because there's another easier way to get bench storage, or not easier way, but another more efficient way, because we don't need to dupe or anything. We don't need to transition storage in here. You can just, let me reset my quick map storage. You can just talk to Stag, quick map storage on talking to Stag, and then I have the Stag menu open. I can Stag to Dirtmouth and sit on the bench. And because I left the bench without leaving the bench, I now have bench storage. Okay, and I'm leaving. Leave the room. We're going to be crossing over and going back through. See ya, patat. You can do this section with transition storage. I just find it a bit annoying, but it's totally up to preference. If you feel cool, if you think you're cool, you can do crazy dash master strats here. I like to just play it a bit safe, but you could go like really low if you wanted. It's up to you. So once you get around this corner, just, I don't know if it's faster. I assume it's not faster to down dash there. I don't think it would be. We're just gonna head through again and cross over. We're gonna be doing the same thing as before. We're gonna be doing the load warp. Remember, you need to jump up to set your save point or your hazard respawn point. Oops. And while you're waiting, put on Dream Builder. Dash off, land on this platform again, double dash, and we're going through. We're gonna boob again on the other side. And dash, dash. Let me show that with hitboxes really quick so you can see what's going on. Oops. Okay, so we're gonna be boobing through. Oops. Boobing through. You can dash here to cancel a hard fall. And then dash, dash, and go in here. Dash across, normal way to get Grimm Lantern. But there's a fun little trick you can do here, which is if you, once you hit the lantern, the actual when you can quit out is way before when you can when it will let you. You can quit out from here. Okay, so we made it. We have everything set up. It's time for the final segment of the run. It's time for the big dupe. This is, in my opinion, one of the easiest categories for dupes. And I'm going to show you the way to get what's called no clip. So the whole point of getting Dreamgate is that we need no clip. And what no clip lets you do is fly through walls. I'm here to elaborate more on what no clip does. No clip is the state that you get after teleporting with Dreamgate, but before the animation has ended. And what that state does is it lets you, you have no collision and you're immune to damage. Basically, hitboxes won't affect you. And what that does is, or how we get that is by canceling the animation of the Dreamgate before it takes it away at the end. Some things that this causes, some effects of this, or repercussions of this, is that by default, without some other source, there's no way of going downward. But whenever you're in a walking state, you don't lose that walking state in the same way that airwalk happened earlier when we were looking at that. basically you'll never be going downwards, so you won't lose airwalk unless you get rid of it yourself somehow. So whenever you are along ground and not going downward, you'll get airwalk, which means you can just jump forever if you want. And you can use mini hops to kind of gauge the height there. But it is very difficult to go downward in no clip controllably. You won't fall down to the floor. There are a few ways to go downward. A couple are either with dive or with down dash. But you have to be very careful because the hazard box at the hazard plane at the floor level below the level no longer will affect you. So if you fall, you will just keep falling forever, and the only way to save it is by save quitting, unless you have like wings or something, but we obviously don't have wings in this category. So you have to be very careful with your downward movement and controlling it. Additionally, there are not many ways to save yourself from downwards movement with no clip. The main way would be with a side dash, but if you just used a down dash, you don't have a side dash anymore to use that. You only get one dash in the air. And so if you're trying to save yourself from a down dash, there's not many ways you can do that. The most common ways would be with a nail art or with a spell, or landing in water. Also with wings, we don't have nail art spells or wings. So if you miss a down dash, there's no way to recover here. Also, there's no water, and acid doesn't work like water unless you have Ismus tier, so that doesn't help here. Also, as an aside, with dive, there are even less ways to catch yourself when falling, so there are less situations where it's useful. One of the times where you won't get airwalk is when you go through a downwards load, because you're already going downward, so you won't like walk along the floor. You'll still have downward movement, but you can use a dash to sort of recover that. You have to be very careful though, because if you use a dash and you're not touching floor, you won't get your airwalk back, which means you won't get another dash. So you cannot re-down dash unless you get airwalk back. A pogo can also give you your dash back, but those are pretty scary. And in the downward dashes, I have setups, which I'll cover. One of the issues you can run into with no clip is upwards transitions. So if you normally would hit an upwards transition, the game will sort of push you up and you fall back down to the floor. Now, the game doesn't actually consider the load to be done until you touch that floor. And if you have no clip, you won't fall, you'll just keep flying up forever, and the load will never be considered finished. Which means that you won't be able to load a save state, you won't be able to open menus or anything. One of the only ways to save yourself from that state is to use your force hazard respawn button that you bound earlier. Otherwise, you are sort of forced to just force close the game. A side effect of canceling Dreamgate in the way we did is that if you happen to go into another white screen without save quitting first, such as leaving a dream boss, leaving a dreamer, or dreamgating, you will be permanently white screened until you quit out. Or there are a couple other ways, like entering a different dream. But for the most part, you'll just be stuck with a white screen with no way of getting vision, which is a big downside. And that'll come up later. So part of the reason why NoClip is so powerful in this run is because you remember how I said earlier that when you have when you're going through the dupe into 0, you have to deal with a lot of walls in the way, and it's really annoying. Well, when we have NoClip, we can just go through the walls and try to find the exact loads we need, which means you can make the dupes a lot more complex and still find the loads. And it's the dupes are all about finding the right loads. So how you do no clip is you need to cancel your Dreamgate animation after teleporting. After Dreamgating, on the other side, cancel your Dreamgate somehow. Now this can be done in a couple ways. The main ways are through either going in water, or by being in a dupe and closing the stag menu. So the way that we're going to be doing this is by doing it with stag menu. And there are a couple different setups that you can do for this. So I'll try to show each one. The setup that I found that I use is I like to set a dreamgate directly below the bench here. This is a little harder for later. If you would like to, you can instead set a dreamgate right here. And if you set dreamgate right here, it is a little easier to get in the load. With this setup, you have to do a couple nail knockbacks to actually hit the load. With this one, you just do 2 neutral dashes. So, either way, you need to hit the bell, get bench storage from here, open your inventory and leave. We're going over here and we need to get 1 cast of soul. So the funny thing with this totem, or totems in general, is that it is RNG how much soul you get. I'm recording this because the numbers I gave are wrong. Basically how it works is it seems like there's a 50-50 between getting 16 or 18. And if you get 16 twice, then you don't have enough soul and you can't do it. So you definitely should just go for the 3 hits. It's worth it to just get the 3 hits here. Just do the 3 hits. It loses a touch of time, but it's fine. And then back up. So let me set a save state here so I can show the different setups. I will have to do something though if I do that. Let me change this setting really quick. Change the setting. If I don't change this, then I will white screen. So I have to be a little careful about that. I would white screen when retrying it from the save state, not the first time. So I set a save state here. I'm going to be going through the load and I'm going to be grabbing this. And we're going to start a dupe. So to start a dupe, like before, you wait till the screen goes black and then leave the room. Okay. Then I did the same thing as before. I did focus to regain control before the stag menu opened. It was the same thing as I did in the first time going through. But this time, you need to be very careful to make sure after the dreamgate goes through, you need to hover the one that you're already at. You do not want to hover the other one because that would stag you. So you'd hover the one you're already at. Now, when you're getting no clip, you have to be pretty careful about something. You have to make sure that you don't turn around first. You have to do something else before turning around. Now that something else can be tapping forward, dashing, C-dashing, dream nailing, a bunch of different things. But the way that we're going to be doing it is with neutral dashes. So just don't turn around, just press neutral dashes. Which is fine here because you're facing right anyway. Which is the way you need to be facing. So you're going to be dream gating. And then once we get to the other side, you're going to close the menu to cancel your dreamgate. So wait till you get here. And then I canceled my dreamgate animation before I got there. Make sure to press enter to close the stag menu. Now, with this dreamgate spot, what you do is you do a second dash and then do a nail knockback as you're jumping. And then the second nail knockback will knock you into the load. If you did the other setup on the left side of the bench, then instead you would just do 2 neutral dashes and it would take you there. This way is a little bit faster, but it doesn't change much. So if you want to do the other way, you find that more comfortable, that's okay. In any percent, it saves a lot more time to do it this way because you get to hit the stag bell, which is important. Hi, green. But we have started the dupe. Okay. So now let me tell you the objectives of this dupe. So we're trying to kill NKG, right? That's the whole goal of the category. So we need to A, find a room with hazards that will kill NKG. B, find a way back to NKG after doing it. And C, you need to have 3 rooms in the dupe. If you don't have 3 rooms, then once you found a way back to Grimm, to NKG, you would not have enough rooms to re-enter NKG, because your first room would dreamgate back, and the second room would enter NKG, so you would unload the room with the hazards in it. So we need to get up to 3 rooms. We need to set a dreamgate at NKG, and we need to find a room with hazards that will kill NKG. Okay, those are the three goals here. So first we need to do is get Grimmchild. Otherwise you can't actually go into the NKG fight. And the way that you can do this is you want to get transition storage here. Otherwise you'll get locked in a big animation for a long time, which is pretty slow. So make sure you're getting transition storage as you walk in. And wait till Grimm starts talking to you, and then go back out. So normally you are not able to set a dreamgate in the Grimm tent, but because we actually just entered town, the game says, oh, you're allowed to set a dreamgate. Now, we're looking for a very specific spot here. If you notice, do you see this floor, or this corner here that I'm standing over? This floor, once I unload Dirtmouth, this is going to be the only floor left. And if I'm not standing on this floor, then I won't actually be able to get control back after I dreamgate. So the way that I found is nice to actually find this spot is if you do up slashes, if you aren't doing up slashes, you'll know you're actually on top of it. Because if the up slashes are hitting, then you are too far to the right. But if the up slashes aren't hitting, then you're in a good spot. Okay, so look for up slashes, make sure you're not actually hitting, make sure you're just to the left of where you're hitting the roof, and then set your dreamgate here. Then mash through the rest of the Grimm dialogue and you get Grimmchild. Now, remember from before, we have bench storage, so if you open inventory here, you're going to softlock, and you don't want to softlock. So instead, we're going to do something to get control back after I'm done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dream nail and then open inventory in the dream nail. Now, as you know, when you end a dream nail normally, it gives you control back, which in this case, it will give me control back from opening my inventory. So I'm still able to change my charms, but I'm not soft locked now. So from here, you want to take off Dream Wielder so that you can actually equip Grimm, and go equip Grimm while you're mashing through the rest of the text. You need to get rid of all the text here. If you don't, you'll soft lock later. So make sure you wait until the text ends before you go through. It's pretty easy to tell where you are, I find, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, you do have airwalk here. You have airwalk here, which means that basically, no matter what happens, you'll still keep in the walking, which means you could just like jump around, do whatever. But we need to down dash. So in order to get rid of airwalk, you need to do something that takes it away. You can do things like focusing, casting a spell, dream nailing, or like sea dashing. But in this case, the easiest is just to tap dream nail. So we're gonna go over where this is, and we're gonna tap dream nail to be able to down dash. Now coming through here, you want to get transition storage so that you can get a dash storage to the left. It's not required, but it's faster and safer. Now make sure you don't do this too high or you will miss this. And the goal of doing this is that we can turn around and get closer to the entrance to the well below. Basically, we want to go in the well. Load at the bottom of Grez's room, not the well. So here I'm closer to the well entrance, which is right below me. So again, dream nail, you'll lose airwalk. Go down, and you want to enter the entrance to Ancestral Mound. That's what it's called, right? You want to enter the entrance to Mound here. And so in order to do that, I like to do a little timing where I do 3 buffered up slashes, but you don't really have to. Just make sure it's pretty easy to tell where you are, kind of visually. So just go for 1, 2, 3, and go around here. Hopefully you'll get airwalk back here, and we're going into here. I'm gonna try to talk about what all the rooms are. So The reason we're going into Mound here is because, like I said, we need 3 rooms, and the way we're going to get 3 rooms is by, the only way to add more rooms is by going into a boss scene. Now, what bosses count as boss scenes here? Well, it turns out there's a really convenient one. False Knight actually counts as a boss scene. So we want to enter False Knight room once on our way. On our way to the room that's going to kill NKG. So, if you see this room right next to me, this is how I leave, this is how I would go back into the previous room. But up here is actually a different room. This room up here is actually the entrance to, you know, the long room that has the golems in it and the infected benchfly later, spike floor that is in 4MS. That is this room. Now, conveniently, that room is very close to the entrance to False Knight room. The False Knight room is on the other side of this room, but walking all the way over there is pretty slow. So conveniently, if we head back into this load right here at the top, then we're right next to the entrance to False Knight, which is right here. So we're going into False Knight room, add another room, and it's gonna spawn us here. Now this room up above me is the exit of that Gome room. As you can see, like the Gome on the right, the spike room, which is right next to, conveniently, is right next to, what's it called? Oh my god, Fog Canyon. That's what I'm saying. And we're gonna go into Fog Canyon because Fog Canyon has a lot of good ways to kill NKG. So, head up here, head into this room, and go over here and drop through. Head down, and then there's a timing here. 2 up slashes, down dash, hold left. And it will take you directly into this room. And this is the room we're going to kill NKG with. So again, in that last room, as you're falling, time 2 up slashes, and then as soon as 2 up slashes are over, do a down dash and hold left, and you'll end up in this room. Now, I recommend, this is not required, but I recommend turning before you dreamgate. We're going to dreamgate from this room, but if you turn, then you'll be facing left after you end the dreamgate, which is convenient. Otherwise, once you get to the other side, you'll have to tap right to actually turn. So, we're going to dreamgate here, dreamgate teleport, tap dream nail to get control back. I have no control here, but if I tap dream nail, I get control back. If I was not standing on ground, I would not be able to do that, and I would be soft locked. So that's why you want to make sure that you're spacing out those. That's why you want to make sure that you're checking out with those up slashes. Make sure that you're in the right spot. If you see the little bar of green floor below me, if I did not have that, I would be screwed. So from here, if you're facing to the right, if you were facing to the right from your dream gate, tap a neutral dash, and you should be right on top of Grimm. As you can see, that big orange box next to me is Grimm. So we're going to be dream nailing Grimm. And because we're going into a dream, it actually takes away the white screen. We can see where we are. And then we just have to go kill NKG. So NKG is in a big acid pool, and will just die in the acid pool if you let him. But there's actually a faster way to kill him if you can get it. So what you want to do is try to get this Uma to the right of you to explode, if you can get it. I got it. Nice. So that's the goal there. You want to get that Uma to explode. If you don't get the right RNG, that's okay. You can either wait on the acid or try again with the middle Uma. But that's the goal, and NKG is dead. That's category. GG, we won. Now, I will try to go through the whole thing. Let me see. Okay. So, I'm going to try to go through the whole thing without stopping so that you can see everything that's going on. Real quick, and I have my input display up to show what I'm doing. Make sure I have bench storage here. Yep. Okay. Starting a dupe. I get transition storage. If focus to get control. And I want to hover the one that I'm currently at so that I can control back in a second. I do 2 nail slashes to get knockback. And get transition storage here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2, and then go back. I'm going to walk over to this little corner. And make sure I'm at a spot where I'm not up slashing into the ceiling. Swap my charms over. And get through the rest of the dialogue, and we're going to drop through. Do a transition, or get transition storage and do a dash storage to the left. Do a turnaround. Drop down. 1, 2, 3. I want to go up into this hitbox up here. Enter False Night room to get a 3rd room. Head over to the Fog Canyon entrance. Drop down. Time do 2 up slashes. 1, 2. Down dash and hold left. Turn and dreamgate. I tapped Dreamnail to get control back, dashed, Dreamnailed, and now we just fight NKG. Once you get to this point, you can't lose the run anymore unless you mess up really badly. Unless you like try to inventory and soft block or something. Oh, I missed. All right, so here's a backup, by the way. You can get the explosion here, and then walk away, so he spawns into the explosion. That is a backup. And NKG's dead. That's NKG %. Nice. We did it. We got through the tutorial. GG. Yeah. If you choose to do this category, luck. Have fun with glitches. If there are any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer. And yeah, hope you have fun. And good luck.